name is Jagdeep Prabhu. I'm a professor of marketing and Indian business at the Judge Business School in the University of Cambridge. My area of research interest has been innovation. For most of my career, I've studied innovation as it is done in the West, in affluent societies by corporations. In the last few years, I've turned my attention to developing markets, emerging economies, particularly India. And I've been struck by how Indian innovators are different from their Western counterparts. For one thing, they're very frugal. They're good at taking cost out of the entire innovation process and making do with few resources. And this is probably because they live in resource-constrained environments. The second thing I've noticed is that their mindset is very flexible. They're very good at improvising. They don't necessarily have one plan, and they're good at shifting from one plan to the next. And this may be because their environment is very volatile. And the third thing I've noticed is that their solutions are often inclusive. They're intended to bring people who are outside the formal economy into the formal economy. And this could be because there are very large numbers of people who are outside the formal economy, and they actually offer an interesting business opportunity. So this frugal, flexible, inclusive approach is quite a dominant approach in countries like India. You see equivalents in other countries in Africa and in Latin America and so forth. And in India, if you ask people how they would characterize this frugal, flexible, and inclusive approach, they would more often than not use this word Jugaad. And my co-authors and I, who've written a book on this, define Jugaad as the art of improvising a good enough solution, an effective solution with limited resources in a quite harsh environment. And the focus is on a good enough solution. It's not a perfect solution. And the idea is that a good enough solution is better than no solution. And often a perfect solution, because it's unaffordable, is no solution. Let me give some examples of Jugaad. So one of the big problems that people in developing countries face is they're unbanked. So they're outside the formal economy and they don't have access to cheap credit or means of saving and so forth. Many of them are migrants. And a wonderful, frugal solution for financial inclusion has been mobile payments. Using ubiquitous mobile phones, basic mobile phones, and using text messages to help people save small amounts of money, store small amounts of money electronically on their phone, and then transfer money to other people. When they go to the city, transfer money back to their village, and so forth, or even make micropayments. And M-Pesa, which is the solution in Kenya, has been very successful, and we have equivalents of this in other parts of the world. And this is a frugal way to bank the unbanked. Equally, you have solutions for people who don't have access to electricity, who currently use very bad means of lighting or cooking. They use kerosene, which is bad for their health. It causes fires. Or they use wood, which again is bad for their health or bad for the environment. And we're starting to see very creative solar lighting solutions, mini-grid solutions that use biomass and so on. The challenge often is, how do you scale this? How do you make this economically viable in the long term? And here we see very interesting partnerships between small companies, enterprises, larger companies, and sometimes the government and NGOs.